blind babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day, and every clue, don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about control in the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack, and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you might hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war.
Every tactic to break the big score. The diamonds in the oil, yes, you know they want more. And just look at it like this. All the wealth of the United States, you know they want more. It's a small group of people that planned a coup d'etat on the entire nation. You know, when you live in a nation where you follow the rules, you have a president like Biden that just stepped down. And you have people that just respect the rules and said, yeah, that's right. Give the guy who won the election a chance. And now you see that, I mean, there's folks that have clearly pointed out and made it very clear that they are the group that don't respect the rules and have no care for anyone else who followed the rules whatsoever. See, a lot of the people that they're going around harassing are actually people that followed the rules, actually people that believed in the democracy, actually people that, let me see something here. Let me check the audio real quick. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually people that followed the rules and believed in the democracy, believed there's a way you do things here. And that way had been a tradition. But that tradition has ended with the reign of Donald Trump, the reign of Stephen Miller, the reign of, Kash Patel, the reign of Elon Musk, Peter Thiel. Now, even think Biden, he allowed Peter Thiel, Elon Musk to do business, but he restricted them. But that wasn't enough. They didn't respect that. Right? It has to be all or nothing. And it has to be me, just us, a few. And what we will do is we will It's crazy what they did, man. We will buy up, use our media outlets. Rupert Murdoch is one of them. Peter Thiel is another. Elon Musk. They will tilt, the playing field and tilt the reality for Americans. And they didn't care. I mean, they talk about terrorist organizations. They talk about brainwash of Islamic terrorists and all of this other shit, which is a real thing. But the truth is that MAGA is the same damn thing. They are brainwashed. They may as well be the same as Al Qaeda. Basically, they believe in the same shit. They're fake ass Puritans holding up a cross, you see, against everyone else who doesn't just bow down and bend down. And to be honest, a lot of these people, they're claiming that the United States is somehow especially theirs, like they have some special claim to it. When a lot of them, they're Rupert Murdoch, he's not even American, really. I mean, how many passports does Rupert Murdoch have? Elon Musk, how many passports does Elon Musk have? How many citizenships does he have? Peter Thiel, how many citizenships does he have? How many generations Trump family's been in the United States? 3? That's it? Just 3? You mean just 3? Only 3? I mean, I can count back 3 generations. My great grandmother was in Washington, D.C. God rest her soul, and died at 99 years old. And by the way, I've seen her with my own eyes. I'm not talking about as an infant. I'm talking about as a little boy, 7-year-old boy, 5, 6, 7-year-old boy. That's a real thing. But that's 3 generations back. That's all we talking. Imagine if my family came here 3 generations back. That's the same. You may as well say it's in my lifetime. You may as well say it's in my own lifetime. But my family didn't come to the United States 3 generations back. They came many, 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 many more back. You see, and fought in wars, real wars. We didn't just make it up. You see what I'm saying? Sacrificing for the nation is not just something we say in hyperbole in my family, but Stephen Miller's family, it is. Cash Patel's family, it is. Their families haven't sacrificed shit. They haven't sacrificed shit. And this thing that they're on, eventually, they are going to run across the real Americans. They are. And of course, this is what they want. This is how greedy and selfish Trump is. Trump would rather have a civil war, break all the rules, push people to their limit, harass them, come in their towns, tell them they're not shit, put up their names on the White House and say this person's this judge and that congressperson, and then watch their homes get blown up. It's everyone knows. It's very obvious you're dealing with some very, very selfish people, and these selfish people, they're on a mission. They know that in order for them to achieve their goal, they need people to feel harassed. They need people to be in such a state of fear that they do something to protect their towns. This is what they are looking for. This is what they're literally looking for. And, so it's like a time game. It's like a time game. What's going to come first? The election. We know they don't want elections because no one that wants elections operates the way they do. Right? So you don't want to win an election when you operate the way the Trump regime does. You don't want to win an election when you're about to make Americans' health care payments double and triple and quadruple, even in the states that elected you, that are responsible for electing you. There can be no better example or proof that you don't want to win another election. You don't care about another election. But that is what the United States is dealing with right now. And And yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. Now, luckily enough, I don't live in the United States of America, although I'm an American. I will be watching this shit on TV, rooting for my side, of course, right? Which are the people that didn't betray their allies. That's the side I'm rooting for. The people who didn't betray their allies, the people that didn't attack Mexicans and Canadians and Danes, and you know what I'm saying? The people who didn't cut aid to babies, the people who didn't cut, who are not cutting, you know, trying to make, I mean, can you imagine Democrats are out here trying to help red state people who are about to lose their health care and can't afford it the most to have their health care double? And yet Democrats are so good, they actually talk about them and speak about them. And yet this regime, they don't care about that because they know they don't want another election. They don't give a damn what the MAGA people think. They don't give a damn how you feel because they didn't need you anyway. They only needed your vote that one time. Remember when Trump said, hey, you only need to vote. This is the last time. That's what he said. Then he said, people want a dictator. That's also what he said. You see, so you may as well believe what has been said. You may as well believe what has been said. You may as well believe what has been written, right? And you may as well believe what you're seeing right now. And of course, you know, a lot of them pay for trolls. So their whole thing, the trolls do is they try to normalize this kind of behavior, right? But the reality is that at some point, it ain't going to be on the internet. It's going to be with some real, actual Americans, and Americans ain't playing. Americans are not playing. Americans are the most armed group of civilians on this earth. So, and Americans know why that is. You see, and, you know, luckily the left is not stupid because they know that obviously Trump doesn't want to have an election, and Trump is looking for any reason to not have an election. If Trump could, you know, go all of a sudden have aliens attack, he would love aliens to attack the United States because then he could institute the War Powers Act, you know, anything. Trump is looking for anything. If Mickey Mouse came and you know, and threatened him, Trump would, you know, say that was an insurrection. You see what I mean? Like, so this is their game, and it doesn't matter what's happening. They're going to talk it up like they're the ones under fucking attack. They're going to gaslight people from now until next year. You got a whole year of gaslighting ahead of you. But luckily, we know Trump won't be around in office that long. We know that because Trump is going to have to pardon who? Maxwell. He will have to pardon Maxwell very, very fast because we all know that Maxwell is not going to get the Supreme Court to take up her case. So that speeds up this pardon. So now the clock is on Trump again. I mean, this is an exciting battle, y'all. Everybody keep your TVs on. Record this time in history. Remember what you was eating on this day of the week. remember where you were standing. Remember what your girlfriend telling you, know, you and your girlfriend and your wife can talk about that day, you know, that day back in history, you know, when Trump's ass was president. Yo, and Ghislaine Maxwell, he pardoned Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, we all know that's going to be the end of Trump, right? You know, he's old. He can barely walk. He can barely breathe. That's why they liked him, because he's basically a pawn in trouble, financial trouble, looking for his way out. And he got his way out by becoming president. And of course, the techies used him because, yeah, he resonates with a lot of certain kind of Americans that go for tropes. You know what I'm saying? They go for things like hang them all. You know, a lot of Americans like that kind of talk because they think in simple ways, you know, but so they used him and they got power. And, you know, to some degree, I have to say, I don't blame them in a way. I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about the techies who financed his election. In some ways, I don't blame them because Americans are stupid enough to let people with 3 different citizenships buy up so much shit and have so much influence in the first place, that what did you think was going to happen? Why would you think Elon Musk gives a fuck about any American or any heritage or any norms or any standards? Why would you think Peter Thiel gives a fuck about any norms or standards when essentially he got other standards to live up to because he's a citizen of another country, 2 other countries. You see what I mean? It's not his only home is what I'm saying. He doesn't have to care about it like Americans who been there for generations, toiling, working, really sacrificing their blood, their heritage, their lineage has been there. It's not really the same thing. You see, it's not the same thing. And these folks, they were willing to get power. Of course, they know they needed to suppress people. So they got Trump, bought Trump, and Trump is cheap. Trump is easy, and Trump is in those Epstein files. And of course, somebody else knows he's in those Epstein files, so they can twist and bend him and control him. Yes. So everybody had their day with Trump. Trump is like the neighborhood hoe, essentially, and he's on his way out, right? He's on his way out because Ghislaine Maxwell is going to drop the bomb on him. And it's just a matter of seconds. I've been saying this for a minute. And it's just sped up. It's faster than ever now. A lot of people thought that he was going to get out through the courts. I've been saying, no. It's going to be a pardon, and because everyone can see what it is. The courts, the Supreme Court knows that American citizens are fucking pissed because they let a 34-time felon run for office when they should have shut that down. Right. And they made exceptions to Trump time and time again, bending the Constitution. Had they not done that, you wouldn't be the country wouldn't be where it is today with a person tariffing everybody left and right, tariffing, And again, I'm only speaking as an American. If you hate the United States, then you would think Trump is great. You would think Trump is great because if you hate the United States, you would want citizens to have less rights. You would want the cost of goods to go up. You would want their security to be shut down, which is all things Trump said he would do. You would want to break up NATO. Those are all things Trump basically had been saying he was going to do. So the people that voted for him knew that. They knew he was a tariff guy. The people that voted for him knew he was a tariff guy, but they didn't quite understand that he's not on your team. A lot of Americans didn't quite understand that. And now they're going to get it. But in any case, let's start off here. We got Ghislaine Maxwell. Trump is about to pardon her. We got, ICE on the street running around in Chicago. Right. They're running around in Portland, Arizona. Right. Then we got pathetic ass MAGA Mike Johnson, who is pretty much begging for his life because he's in a rock and a hard place because, this guy Howard Lutnick just threw Trump under the bus. So the rich boys are tired of Trump. They know he's a psycho. They're trying to get rid of him. They would like the guy to just keel over and die, but he just won't fucking do it fast enough. You see what I mean? Because these other guys know that Americans are the most armed civilians on the planet of the earth, on this thing here. Russians are nowhere near as armed. They're not even allowed to be armed, really. Chinese, no, authoritarian, not allowed to be armed. But the one thing that will save the United States of America in the end is that my people are armed. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, because no one is going to take this motherfucking country away from us. Period. Dream all you motherfucking want. Dream all you motherfucking want. The show is about to be motherfucking over. Period. period. And fuck what you heard on the internet. Because if the internet didn't tell you Americans are the most armed civilians on earth, then the internet ain't told you shit. And there's more of us than there are of MAGA. Get it straight. Not that it's about that really, but because MAGA lost a whole lot of supporters with Trump. A lot of Republicans have been pissed off at Trump. His regime is falling apart, and MAGA Mike Johnson is right in the middle of it. So let's start off with his punk ass here and listen to him gripe and beg and try to, convince people, that I'm not on Grindr. That wasn't me. And, it's the Democrats, although we had Project 2025 where we said we wanted to shut down the government. It's the Democrats shutting down the government. It's the Democrats, y'all. Although we told everybody in advance, it's the Democrats, y'all. It's the Democrats. All right. Well, we're going to see. But I know one thing for sure. For every blue state person that suffers from not having health care, there's going to be a MAGA person that suffers even more. So let's bring it on. Let's see here. Where is this dude at? Speed it up, little man.
Well, good morning,
Lying
everyone.
ass MAGA
Here we
Mike.
are again in another day of Democrat shutdown. So I wanted to come out and...
Yeah, he's out working because Congress isn't affected by any shutdown. They get paid during shutdown. They're the type of essential. There's two essential workers in the federal government. The type that get paid and the type that have their pay on hold until a shutdown is resolved and finished. MAGA Mike Johnson is the type that gets paid, but he sent the Republicans home on paid vacation while he's sending ICE out on the street to work without getting paid until the shutdown comes down. See, MAGA Mike Johnson gets his money. He's crying about people cheating the system, but he actually sent the Republican congressional members home paid while military's not getting paid. He told them, don't come to work while military got to go to work and not get paid. They don't know. Look, a shutdown can last indefinitely. And if you look at the behavior of Trump, Democrats basically have no choice because Trump's regime is so violent, they will kill innocent Americans. They will kill Americans that believed in democracy. It's that simple. It's that simple. And they're letting you know it by how they behave. And yes, they're behaving very different from the predecessor and the ones before. So just remember that, military. You ain't getting paid right now. You have to go to work, though. Federal officers, most of you ain't getting paid. Them ICE, they not getting. I'm telling you, they're sitting around waiting. They need the shutdown to end. But MAGA Mike Johnson sent the Republicans who get paid home on a vacation. So there's a little class difference there. Caroline Leavitt, she gets paid. She gets paid. Trump gets paid. Schumer gets paid. Jeffries gets paid. Right.
just share with you some thoughts, answer some questions, tell you, I guess, reiterate the simple truths of how we got here. Those truths have been obscured just a bit because the Democrats are in a relentless effort to spin the facts, but it's always good when the facts and the evidence are on your side. And I don't want you to listen to the arguments of politicians. If you're watching at home, I want you to look at the real facts.
What the hell did he say? He just said, I don't want you to listen to the politicians. Man, you're a politician who just sent everyone in your party who gets paid by every single taxpayer money. You told them to go fucking home in a crisis. No, we know don't listen to you. That's what he means. He's like, don't listen to politicians. No, motherfucker, don't listen to you.
And I'm going to try to here in a very abbreviated summary manner to present those to you. And the facts are very clear. Okay, so the first fact is by way of reminder, how did we get here? Why?
All right. Bottom line, my assessment is MAGA Mike nervous. MAGA Mike, whatever his name is, Johnson. This is the most nervous speech that he's ever given on the floor. His body language and the sound of his voice. Nah, there's something off with this dude. This guy is hurting right now. I mean, of course, he's going to try to bullshit act again and again and again. Right. Because that's his go-to thing. That's all he's ever known how to do. But something's not right with him.
Why is Washington tied into
different
right now? Well, I became Speaker almost 2 years ago, and I was frustrated, as most rank-and-file members of Congress are, frustrated about how Congress really doesn't work that well for the American people. That's why people are frustrated about it. We don't spend money responsibly here. We haven't for many years. And the reason for that is because typically, for the annual funding of the government, it's done in a back room. Literally, there's a deal.
What we can do to make the middle class and poor suffer is we could blame the illegal immigrants. Then we don't have to do shit for the middle class and poor. They could just pay our salary while the government's on shutdown. I can get paid. The military can be out in the street not getting paid. And I can misdirect. I could tell my own party people, although you're getting paid by the taxpayer, who might be working 3 jobs a day just to pay the rent, raising kids, I can guess what I could do for the taxpayer. I could send half of the country's representatives home, the majority, send them home on vacation. That's what I'll do because I care. That's my way of showing the poor and the middle class that I care because my name is MAGA Mike Johnson.
By the top 4 leaders in Congress, and that's hoisted upon the members, usually at the end of the year, right before a holiday, in an omnibus spending bill. Sometimes the bills are thousands of pages long, and it's always said that few members have fully read it or understood it. That's largely true because they weren't involved in the process. So when I became Speaker, I've been doggedly determined to make this House and the Senate work again, to do right by the American people, to get the process, to rebuild the muscle memory, to get back to the way it is supposed to work. And what does that mean? It means that Congress is supposed to carefully deliberate.
It means that I'm going to use illegal immigrants as a way to not actually do shit for the middle class and the poor. Why they actually pay my salary. That's what that means. Now, look, Republicans have gone on this whole thing about subsidizing illegal immigrants' health care. Right, sure. And they're so stupid. They're so stupid because they don't research it themselves. And by the way, Elon Musk, MAGA Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, they actually know red state voters who voted for them are largely stupid to some degree, because they didn't have the ability to go figure out for themselves that was a lie. They just didn't have the ability to figure out what these people were using as a trope. And it's very simple. How many of you, and you can put a 1 in the chat, how many of you, when your child or you or your parents or your spouse get run over by a car at nighttime, no fault of your own, the ambulance comes, you're by yourself, you can't talk because of the accident. How many of you want the ambulance to say, well, let's look for his ID first before we take them to the medical room, to the emergency room? How many of you want that to be your reality when you get in an accident, in an emergency in the United States of America? If you want that to be your reality, that's what you're getting out of MAGA. That's what they're advocating for. That's what they're actually advocating for. They're saying, they're using a small little window by saying, which goes against the Hippocratic Oath of doctors. to cause no harm. A doctor is supposed to save your life. So in an emergency situation, they're saying that they'd rather have the doctor, even if they can't talk, even if they can't talk, even if their child can't talk, even if their spouse can't talk, even if their mother or father can't talk, even if their sister or brother can't talk and are alone and don't have the police can't find the ID because it's a fucking accident. The ambulance can't find the ID because it's a fucking accident. You want them to wait before they throw your ass in the ambulance and get your ass to a hospital to save your fucking life. All because you need to know if that one person is an illegal immigrant. This is what it comes down to. You have to be stupid. And again, many people are. Because they're using that one thing, the emergency room that everyone will fucking need. They're saying, no. Identify me first, because we don't want no illegals going to the emergency room. So again, if you want this to apply to you, if you want only people in an emergency, in a car accident, in an explosion, any kind of accident, any kind of event that is violent and has harmed you, you are bleeding, you got a half an hour or an hour max to get to the hospital and get into an emergency room. You want them to only take people that can furnish their ID, even if they're the only fucking person there? Is that what you really want? You want them to ask you? Put a 1 in the chat if that's what you want. Of course, we know trolls want that, but some of y'all are real. Put a 1 in the chat if that's how you want to be treated in your own fucking country where you fucking pay taxes, where your actual ancestors sweat. Is that what you want? Because that's what MAGA is advocating for. That's what they're advocating for, because they're saying just because you have that, that's a loophole for illegal immigrants. That's exactly what they've been saying. And that is the stupidest fucking thing on earth. Every other Western nation has figured out they don't want their fucking citizens in an accident. They don't want the ambulance sitting there saying, oh, well, fuck, where's the ID? We got to find that ID before we take them to the hospital. I might get in trouble. MAGA might punish me if I take somebody to the hospital without finding the ID. That shit is crazy. This is how dumb MAGA is. And this is the argument that MAGA Mike Johnson is making to the American public. This is his argument. Purely. This is his goddamn argument. It's crazy.
Over 12 separate appropriations bills every year. Why? Because we divide the spending of the taxpayers' funds into 12 categories so that everybody can go through that. And all the elected members.
Not too many people put a 1 in the chat. See, I notice a lot of comments, but the trolls see. The people don't actually want to say they want that for themselves because they know that they don't want that for themselves. See, that's the real thing about it. That's the real thing about it. They just wanted to use that as an excuse. And it's so dumb because the first people that it's going to hurt the most is MAGA voters. That's how dumb this group is. It's going to literally hurt them the most in the pockets in every single way. There are less people. They live in spread out areas. Their hospitals are being shut down. You know, I mean, you just do the math. You figure that shit out. If that's what you want, you gonna get it. God damn it. You definitely gonna get it. Maybe. Unless a Democrat comes and saves your fucking life this year and your family by standing there, shutting the government down until these billionaires who have 3 citizenships each decide to listen to your broke maggot ass. Billionaires who don't really give a fuck about you, would never want to sit at a dinner table with you, would never want to meet you in your fucking life. They hold the key to your ass, your family's life, your children's life, because of how you fucking vote. And you're so stupid, you don't even know what MAGA Mike Johnson is even talking about up here. Yes, he may be talking a lot, But it all comes down to one fucking thing. And that is, do you want a motherfucking ambulance person to ask you for a fucking ID when you're in a car crash and can't talk and can't furnish your fucking ID? That's how ridiculous these people are. So you know how ridiculous they're going to continue to be. Let's watch.
The duly elected representatives of the people can come here and have a debate and a discussion. We do that through the Appropriations Committee, they're the specialists.
I like to fuck MAGA Mike Johnson up. I just got to tell you, I don't like this guy. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying. But, you know, if we could get in the fucking ring, woo.
On it, the members of the House and Senate who work on it around the clock, 365, every day of the year. And then they put together a product. It goes to the full body in the House and then the full body in the Senate. And they work.
What the hell is he talking about? What the hell is this dude talking about? He's talking about everything but the motherfucking shutdown. Fuck the Senate. They're doing something else. You know, that was in the past, MAGA Mike Johnson. Okay, get to the reality. The shit isn't shut down. People ain't getting paid right now today. Okay, and he's out there talking about, oh, the Democrats. Damn, he sounds like a real sorry sap. Don't no man talk like that. He sounds like he's whining. Listen to how he whines. He's like, oh, and the Democrats just won't do this and the Democrats just won't do that. There must be something, you know, there's something going on here.
They come up with the most efficient and effective way that they can build consensus around to spend the taxpayers' funds. Well, we started that process back this year, and I'm so proud to tell you that we're rebuilding the muscle memory. It's like pushing a boulder uphill, but we've got it done. And we worked 12 separate appropriations bills through the House Appropriations Committee. I mean, they worked hard in a bipartisan fashion, Republicans and Democrats. They worked on it.
How many Democrats did they get to sign that? You see the bullshit in there? And on top of it, he's talking about the big, beautiful bill that's going to make all of your health insurance double, triple, quadruple, la la la. And he's talking about it like it's the most wonderful thing on earth that he ever did.
Steadily, we got 3 of those bills on the floor. We debated them on the floor. We passed them on the House floor. And we sent that over to the Senate. Meanwhile, the Senate passed 3 of their own bills off the floor. That hasn't happened around here in many years. And all of that process that I just described takes a lot of time and a lot of work and energy and effort. And our appropriators, while they were working in good faith, they ran out of time. Why? Because the end of the fiscal year is September 30th, not December 31. And so the clock was just running out. So what we did, because Republicans are in charge of both houses right now, is the responsible thing. Leader Thune in the Senate and I in the House, we sat down with our appropriators and we said, let's come up with a simple stopgap measure to keep the lights on and keep the government open so that appropriators can finish this very healthy process for the people they represent.
Lie. Every American citizen, and again, if you're not an American citizen, I don't blame you for not knowing this, but sorry, MAGA Mike Johnson and every congressional member is an essential worker that gets paid. Did you know all essential workers don't get paid? ICE don't get paid. They're essential workers. The military's essential workers. All those regular line guys out on the street, all that shit, they don't get paid right now. State police get paid, by the way. Thank God for that. But, he gets paid. All the congressional members get paid. All of the senators get paid. Trump is still getting paid. There's no threat. By law, he gets his check normally, just like MAGA Mike Johnson by law, just like Hakeem Jeffries, just like Senator Schumer, just like every congressional member, just like every senator, just like the president, just like Caroline, Lion-ass Caroline. Look, so they are paid. Now, does anybody know why they get paid? Does anybody know why they get paid? Tell me in the chat if you know why they get paid. Or let me tell you this. What do you fucking expect them to do if they do get paid? Because it's your money. It's your goddamn money. Tell me, what do you expect them to be doing if they're paid? And why do you get paid if you're not at fucking work? See, that's the whole thing right there. They're essential workers. They're supposed to be at fucking work. That's what essential means. You see how he's lying to people? Essential means you're supposed to be at fucking work, even if the lights ain't on, motherfucker. MAGA Mike Johnson. And to top it off, he's a paid goddamn essential worker. He's not even like ICE. He ain't even like the military. He's not like none of these other federal people that ain't going to get paid. He's getting paid. And he's talking about, we need the lights to be on. Man, get the fuck out of here and do your job, boy.
And so we put together a very simple, clean, continuing resolution. Why do we say it's clean? Clean because there's nothing to it. It's 24 pages. It's the bare minimum. It just says, keep the status quo, which, by the way, for all my Democrat friends, is the Biden-era policies and spending that we haven't been able to fix yet. We're in the process of getting appropriations done to repair all that, but we needed more time.
Why he say Biden? Why don't he just say Obama? Why not just say Obama era? That would also work, right? That's what if it's not Obama, if it's not Biden, it's Kamala, right? Isn't that who's always behind everything? Who's stopping the Epstein files from coming out, y'all? Obama. Who was on Epstein Island? Obama. Who's stopping the Epstein files from coming out? Biden. Who was on the Epstein Island? Biden. Who's stopping it? You see, it's only one person stopping them Epstein files from coming out. It's only one president that was on that island, outside of Bill Clinton, by the way. But it's only one right now who has a best friend who's the most prolific sex trafficker in the United States of America, who Howard Lutnick said is a prolific blackmailer. You see, like, this guy really thinks Americans are stupid. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of Americans are fucking stupid. We ain't special. Some of us is stupid too. Every country has a group of people that are like the ass crack of the country. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing the ass crack of the United States of America. The people that really, in reality, they're the ones who can't just fucking move on. You see, they're actually the ones that can't just fucking move on. They're living in the Stone Ages. They're sitting back here thinking everyone else is stupid, right? They're thinking they're the best thing that ever happened to the United States of America. Meanwhile, they're coming from states that produce the least, use the most welfare, and are getting tax dollars, federal tax dollars earned by blue states. But yet somehow they think they're the great. It's all ass backwards. Then there are Christians that are running around hating on gays, and they in the closet themselves. MAGA Mike Johnson, I would really be surprised if he wasn't a man that just loses his mind around another man, like straight up. I would be really, really goddamn surprised. But there, and a lot of them pass anti-LGBT. A lot of them, they just in the closet. They're not proud with it. They're in the closet with it. Sneak out on the wife with it. This kind of shit. Lecture to other people, molest other people. This is what's going on there. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is.
More to do it. So, in a bipartisan fashion, Democrats and Republicans got together and said, you know what? Fine, let's extend this until November 21st. The Democrats.
Oh, that was a crack at Schumer. 3/4 of his life. Damn. So in other words, you get it.
Agreed to that.
He is actually desperate. You rarely see MAGA Mike Johnson come out and talk like this. Like when he starts throwing, just trying to throw anything at the wall, that's what this speech sounds like. And you gotta ask, why? Why is he so nervous? I mean, sorry about that. I got kicked out to security. But check this. In any case, so we got MAGA Mike Johnson. He gives a 30-minute speech, right? This speech is 30 minutes long, 20, or maybe technically more like 25, whatever, right? But this guy, he's explaining to people, like, people need to know all the history of where it fucking started and blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows what it's about. It's about Trump. It's about everything about Trump. This is about everything about Donald Trump, literally, right? It's about the tariffs. See, he's talking about we made a deal 6 months ago and even 3 or 4 Democrats voted for it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but shit has changed since then, buddy. Haven't you been paying attention, MAGA Mike Johnson? God damn, your homeboy has been out there decimating prices, decimating the cost of living for Americans. And this dude act like shit is the same as it was 6 months ago when Trump came, 8 months ago when Trump came in. No, it's not the same. And he's pretending like he hasn't noticed all of that. So, in other words, they don't notice the American people's sentiment about nothing. If American people say the cost of living is too high, MAGA Mike Johnson didn't hear that. If the American people say my utilities are too high, MAGA Mike Johnson didn't hear that. If he said the eggs cost more, MAGA Mike Johnson didn't hear that. If you said anything about any cost of a living going up, MAGA Mike Johnson didn't hear that because he's expecting that you can't change the motherfucking rules when your job is to change the fucking rules. That's the whole point of being in Congress and in the Senate. You can change the rules any goddamn time of the day, of the week, of the month, of the second you fucking want because you get paid to. And guess what? You get paid so well, you get paid when other people don't get paid. And you get a check, a penny from every single American, no matter what type they are across the entire United States of America. And you even get it from immigrants, some of their money. You see what I'm saying? And they don't even get representation, really. You know, they might get it on the state level. Yeah, in some ways they benefit, but in other ways they don't now. You see what I'm saying? Now, so here's the thing. He's pretending like, I mean, who hired him? This is the most laziest Congress that's ever existed. They go into session once in a fucking month and try, every 3 months they got a bill maybe. Yo, Congress used to be the place where you had some shit popping every day of the week. You see what I'm saying? And now it's like you can't even get them to do any goddamn work. And this is what MAGA Mike Johnson is literally standing in front of people explaining, like he's talking about one goddamn bill like that. Talking about it started here, the bill, when we first worked on this bill. It's like, yo, man, get over it. You're supposed to be making 1,000 goddamn bills. And listen to him. He's going to keep explaining.
A big government liberal nonsense that we can't do. Their priorities that they crammed into this. Now, remember,
he says we can't do it. It's getting done, goddammit. This is how it's getting done. Shutdown. You don't come to the table. Yeah. You don't come to the table. It is what it is. Why is that? Because that's what it is about. How many times have Republicans had a shutdown when a Democrat was a president? When the Democrats had the majority of Congress, or how many times? 8 fucking times in Trump era. What is it? 8 times in Biden when it was Biden. 8 times. It's a lot of goddamn times. I don't know. Is it just Biden or was it 4 times with Biden and 4 times under Trump before him? Is that what it was? Something like that, right? It was tilted. Congress was tilted when Trump was in his first administration. That's what it is. And this guy's acting like they never used a shutdown before. The shutdown is here. The shutdown is more important than ever. You have a lunatic president, and this president said he's going to fire your ass anyway. So yes, this is a real shutdown. And if you don't get what you need this shutdown, you might not ever get a chance to ever get it again, just flat out, because you have a lunatic that is president. Just to make it very clear to Americans, you have a lunatic. This guy is out on the limb. His plan is to not have an election next year, and he would like to hurt a lot of Americans if he can use people fighting back as an excuse to not have an election. That's all he's trying to do. He's just trying to sow dissent, try to, so when people get pissed, as they should be, then he can say, see, we ain't going to have an election. See, the military is going to have to go through town. We're going to have to arrest a lot of people. We're going to, pass a whole lot. And trust me, Trump, if he stays in power, he's going to take away the Second Amendment. He's going to try to, because he's going to have some emergency act, and then he's going to try to do whatever he can under some emergency act. He's already challenging. You heard how Stephen Miller, he can go out and question the First Amendment. They can question the First Amendment. If a judge tells them, no, fuck that, they're saying, yeah, but, whatever, that judge is a terrorist. That's what they're saying. So you can't expect the courts in the United States to do a goddamn thing about Donald Trump or Stephen Miller or any of these folks. You can't. So you have to have a shutdown and hope they get the idea, get Trump the hell out of there, or Trump dies in office, which he just might, or steps down voluntarily because he's too goddamn old, or these rich people get tired of him. But this shutdown can go on indefinitely. So people better prepare for that. This is not a test. This is not a test. It's not something MAGA folk and MAGA Mike Johnson is going to bluff his way out of. It's not something Trump is going to talk his way out of. This is really what it is. And you just saw a judge's home get blown up. It can get real in the United States of America. It can get real. And that's nothing new for Americans. Because Americans have always known that the biggest terrorist threat in the United States of America is these maggots. So it ain't no goddamn surprise. Nobody is surprised. Nobody is shocked at the tyranny. No one is guessing what's in store for people next. Nobody's guessing. No one needs to guess what your feelings are. You hate liberals. That's what your feelings are. You feel like you have the right to do anything you can to any person that doesn't share your ideas, including inflict violence. You feel like you have the right to storm the Capitol when the election doesn't go your way. You feel like all the shit you do is justified. Period. And so everybody knows the steez. Now, let's just hear a little bit of MAGA Mike, because there's a few points where he says some shit that's just so obviously, backwards, which is why I say he's desperate. But
a simple
let me play a little more.
7-week stopgap funding measure, the CR, that we passed out of the House in bipartisan fashion was sent over. And Chuck Schumer filed a counterproposal.
Listen to him. He's crying.
Words, not mine. These are not Republican talking points. These are the facts. He's
MAGA-splaining. That's what he is. He's mansplaining, ain't he? He's MAGA Mike Johnson splaining. I never seen him like this. This guy's really heard about something.
2 exhibits real quick, because I've shown you before. This is page 57, an excerpt of his bill, section 2141, where you see that right there that they want to repeal the health subtitle of the Big Beautiful Bill. The one Big Beautiful Bill, the Republicans got signed into law July 4th. The working families tax cut, we're so proud of that because it has so many amazing things for all the Americans.
So he called the Big Beautiful Bill the working families tax. Okay. Well, guess what? Price has gone up since then, all right?
The American people, a marquee piece of legislation, but among the most important were the reforms that we did to health care. Why? Because Medicaid, for example, is broken. Medicaid doesn't work well.
Because what? He doesn't need it? That's why it's broken to him, because he don't need it. He can do anything he wants with the money the American taxpayers put in his pocket. He got the best health care in the United States has to offer, thanks to the American taxpayer from blue states and red states. Give yourself a round of applause if part of your check goes to MAGA Mike Johnson to have the best health care on earth, and even be paid as an essential worker and take his ass on vacation. Give yourself a round of applause, because you're paying the bill, y'all. You're paying the bill. Yes, he is paid by blue and red states. Everybody chips in, the middle class, the poor, the red states, the MAGAs, the liberals, the Trumpsters, the Obamas. Everybody chipping in for MAGA Mike Johnson to have the best health care on earth, while he sends paid essential congressional members home. while being paid. They got the best shit too. I mean, imagine, I'm like, damn, if MAGA Mike Johnson, he sent the Republicans home and Hakeem Jeffries didn't. He didn't send the Democrats home. The Democrats are actually out there working. I'm like, yo, MAGA Mike Johnson gave you the perfect MAGA excuse to go home too, because if they go home, then MAGA can't be mad about you going home on their tax dollar, can they? But no, they didn't do it. If it was me, I'd fucking do it. You know what I'm saying? I would be like, yeah, fuck it. You know, MAGA people, they think it's okay for this to happen, so they're okay with it. So let's just go home, and whenever the Republicans call us for a meeting, we'll answer the phone. Otherwise, nothing to do. Place is not in session.
It's underfunded, and it was full of fraud, waste, and abuse. And we took our opportunity to fix that.
Full of fraud, waste, and abuse. Yes, they took that opportunity with Elon Musk and the guy with 3 passports, Elon Musk, getting billions of dollars of government subsidies. What a fucking coincidence, by the way. What a coincidence. Sure. So could it be that if they find waste and abuse, there's more fucking money for Elon Musk? Could it be that if they find waste and abuse, there's more money for Peter Thiel, Donald Trump, all his cronies with their goddamn contracts, federal contracts? By the way, all those federal contracts are on, the money is stopped. It's not going out as of this shutdown. You see, yeah, their employees ain't getting that money. They have a lot of employees, yo. I'm telling you, they have I don't know how many billions of dollars they get, right? Subsidies from the U.S. government, but that shit ain't going out. These federal contracts are not going out. Now, some are going out, but not all of them like you would think. And I suspect that might be the only reason why they might want the shit to Democrats to go into session. But in reality, it ain't the poor people. Whatever the reason is they're talking about, they don't care about poor people or the middle class Americans at all. They don't care about the upper class because, again, the upper class, they ain't that rich. I mean, $1 million don't make you that rich in the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? You're still a few mistakes from having your ass out on the street. Straight up as a millionaire in the U.S. So, but this upper class, like billionaire class, that billionaire class is looking to find more money. Where can they get more money? This is the best honeypot on earth. The United States got $27-30 trillion. I can just run all through and just grab as much of that money as I can myself because American people just let me do it. Yeah, there's no other honeypot to these billionaires on earth than the United States of America taxpayer. That's because we're 350 million strong paying into that. That's the biggest honeypot you could grab. But Americans take care of it like a cheap horse, basically, legs wide open. I'm sorry to say it this way, but that's how Americans have treated there. They've let people go in there. They got 3 citizenships, no loyalty to the country. Just rummage all through that shit. Rummage through your personal information. Rummage through your treasury. Rummage through. I mean, really, that's what you've done. That's what you've done. And that's what you get when you handle shit cheaply. That's what you get. You know, I mean, I hope it's a lesson.
And we did. So what did we do? We went into Medicaid and we said, we got to stop the waste and abuse. We got to make sure that illegal aliens are not on Medicaid. Medicaid is intended for U.S. citizens only, not illegals who break our law and come over the border. And we got to make sure that young, able-bodied men who do not have...
Yo, Kevin, exactly. Every country has universal. I mean, you know that. It's just caring about your own people, bro. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to do what you can with what you're set up with for your own people. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a patriot. That's what you're supposed to do when you love your country, when you love your people. The United States of America is the one country that has all the money in the world, but doesn't do what its neighbor Canada can do. It's the only country in all of NATO that doesn't do what all the other NATO nations do. Outside, I'm not sure about the UK, but you know the rest of them, right? It doesn't matter if you're talking about education or you're talking about healthcare. It's the same, and there's other things too, man. I mean, it's sad. And this guy is up here explaining it away like it could be explained It can't be explained.
Working and not riding the wagon. Work is good for individuals. It's good for the communities they live in. It's good for their own well-being and for the people around them. And so we said, don't sit on your couch and play video games. By the way, also not a talking point. It was an AE.
He just sent his own Republican representative home, congressional representatives home with pay, and he's telling somebody don't just sit on your couch and play video games. You know, this is that little twisted mind shit, gaslighting they do. They try to make it seem like everybody else is lazy, poor people, middle class people are lazy, and you're not rich because you're lazy. This is really what they sell to people, when in truth, MAGA Mike Johnson doesn't do a motherfucking thing but talk shit. That's his job. He doesn't really know. He knows how to manipulate ignorant people. That's what he knows how to do. That's what he's doing in the law. That's all he knows how to do. If you don't know the law, you get manipulated by MAGA Mike. He's a hustler. That's all he is. That's all he is. He should be thrown in fucking jail. You know, it's pathetic, but he's a hustler.
EEI study, I think one of the organizations that polled this, and most of these young men who are not working are sitting around literally playing video games.
You hear that? He's fixated on that. He is fixated on that. People being lazy. You see, it's gaslighting. And again, American people, you fall for that, you are dumb as fuck. You are dumb as fuck. And you are the laughing stock of the globe if you fall for that. I mean, imagine living in a country where people working 3 jobs can't even afford to keep a roof over their head. Can't even afford childcare, and he has the audacity, while getting money from even that person in federal dollars to pay his motherfucking salary, he has the audacity to even point at anybody as lazy. Yes, he does, because American people let him do it.
So we put that in the law, and the big thing was making sure that an estimated 1.4 million.
Yeah, he's fixated on grinding. He's not fixated on work. That's for damn sure.
Illegal aliens are no longer riding that wagon either. Why? Because Medicaid had to be strengthened. Medicaid is intended for the elderly, the disabled, and young pregnant women, as I use an example, who are in difficult situations. They need the resources desperately, but the resources are being drained by people who were never intended to be there. And so Republicans got busy and fixed it. We put it in the big, beautiful bill. So,
he hates you. Listen, so y'all, every other country has a plan for health care for all its citizens. What's your plan, MAGA Mike Johnson, for all the citizens? That's just it. He expects people to pay, to spend all their money at work on health care and live on the streets. He's not even taking into account how much it actually costs. He acts like healthcare. You pay more for healthcare in the United States of America than any other place on earth, Mike Johnson. Didn't you fucking know that? And people can't even fucking get it even with Medicare. You see what I'm saying? This is crazy. I mean, but this is just showing you how much this guy doesn't know about his own citizenry. It's crazy. And he's preached for 30 minutes only because either he's in some serious trouble or he's in some serious trouble and he has the audacity. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm starting to think Trump or somebody has something on him about some pedophilia or something else, because the way he is out there, it's like, look, dude, you can't win. You are in a losing position, MAGA Mike Johnson. You're in a losing position with Trump. You're in a losing position with these libertarian billionaires who want to buy up the entire country. They don't like you. The American people don't like you. Dude, just get the fuck out of there. You know, but for some reason, he stays like they have something on him. I'm telling you, I believe they got something on him.
Back to fact number 3, I guess I'm still on. Chuck Schumer files a counterproposal and says, we want to reverse all that. Well, among the effects, among the things that he would reverse is putting illegal aliens back on the program. Don't take my word for it. Look at the evidence.
Now, look, see, it's very simple, y'all. Don't go for that. You know, it's very simple. All the shit they talking about illegal aliens, it comes down to ambulances and car crashes. at things, emergencies. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about you going to get, to have some scanning of your arm and blah, blah, to go on to some, treatment or anything like that. No, he's only talking about life-saving care in the emergency room. That is the one little tiny space where there might be anybody, not just illegal immigrants, but people with no health care at all. Period. Whether they have health care or not. American citizens don't all have health care. Tourists don't always all have health care. You don't really know. It could be illegal immigrants. It could be anybody. But the whole reason why the emergency rooms around the country are run that way is because they can't be run any other way and actually save your fucking life. Because if you get in a car accident, and the ambulance person has to look for your wallet before they try to stop your blood from pouring out of your neck, you're going to fucking die. What if they can't find you? What do you expect? If people in an emergency to be like, oh, well, hey, by the way, my name is blah, blah, blah. Let me get you my ID. That's not a fucking emergency. You see, and he's here talking about life situations where your goddamn life is in jeopardy. And he's sitting there saying, nah, they should have ID. They should have ID. No. You got to check them for ID before they go in the emergency room. That's literally what all this talk from the Republicans is about, y'all. Straight up. And anyone who could just have a half-thinking brain would say to themselves, wait a fucking second. What if I get in a fucking accident and I can't find my ID and I can't get help? Because this motherfucker wants me to go against the basic practice of helping people in an emergency. Yo, you better start thinking. You better start thinking, because this dude, and keep in mind, Republicans didn't want people to have health care any fucking way before the Affordable Health Care Act. They was already saying American citizens should die without insurance. That's what was happening. I don't know how old people are. Me, I'm 55. I remember what it was like before the American Health Care Act, Affordable Health Care Act. I remember what it was like. American citizens who were too poor to have health care were getting refused at the emergency room, was getting refused by fucking ambulances. Yo, and I'm telling you, if MAGA people are stupid enough to go for this, you're going to be affected most. Because you live in these rural areas where these ambulances have to drive longer distances. There's less of you. There's going to be less hospitals in your vicinity. Straight up. That's what's coming to you. You need to stop listening to these people that don't give a shit about you. MAGA Mike Johnson doesn't give a shit about you. Somebody controls him. He's a weasel. He's a devil. Just get it in your head, especially if you're a Christian. Get it in your head. This man is a devil. He's a sellout to the United States of America. He's a sellout to billionaires, and he does not give a shit. And he's a very manipulative motherfucker, which makes me think he might be a pedo too. I mean, seriously,
We're here at Exhibit B. This is the list of the actual provisions that would be reversed if Chuck Schumer's language was voted on and passed. Among those, it would end. See, these are the provisions, the Working Families Tax Cut Act. These are the provisions of our bill that did each of these things. We ended Medicaid funding for most non-citizens. They would reverse that, and it would cost American taxpayers, hardworking Americans, an estimated $6.2 billion. And you just go down the list.
To sum this up, this bullshit with MAGA Mike Johnson, because we got some other shit to discuss. To sum it up, essentially what he's saying is what he's talking about when he's saying illegal immigrants. He's talking about citizens and residents. He's talking about all y'all. He's literally saying he wants everyone, before taken to an emergency room, to provide an ID. He's saying that to your children. He's saying that to your parents. He's saying that to your sister, your brother, and you. If you happen to get in an accident, you happen to even be a victim of a crime, get your ass robbed and get your wallet robbed and get your ass shot, then what you gonna do when the ambulance shows up? You see what I'm saying? You know, this is the thing that they're suggesting. They're suggesting you implement laws like this to get rid of illegal immigrants when really all it's going to do is fuck over a whole bunch of Americans. Like literally, that's what he's talking about. That is the only loophole in any healthcare system for illegal immigrants. That's the loophole they're talking about. And they even admitted it the other day that they're talking about people started. I mean, actually, it's been coming out. People are saying that, oh, are you talking about on the state level? What are you talking about? You talking about in the emergency room? Yeah, they are. They admitted it. They're talking about emergency room care. That's all they're talking about. It's illegal in the American Affordable Health Care. What is it? The Affordable Health Care Act. It's illegal for illegal immigrants to get it. It's already in the language. So what they do is they try to tell you, no, 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 no. But that money from Medicaid goes to your state. And then your state, how your state operates in the emergency room is giving illegal immigrants care. That's what they're talking about. No, they're not just giving illegal immigrants care. They're giving American citizens who don't have health care also. They're giving people that have residence care, emergency room care. They're giving tourists emergency room care also, in case you don't know. You see what I mean? And the reason why it's that way is because in an emergency situation, do you want someone holding your neck to make sure the blood doesn't pour out of it? Or do you want someone say, give me your ID? It's your choice. But the doctors have all said they can't do both. They can't save your life, do the best job saving your life in an emergency situation while they're sitting around waiting to find the ID. That's what it is. So here we go. Let's move on. Now, just to follow up on that before we get into something more exciting. Here's Schumer's statement.
He didn't know what he's talking about. First, he says he wants to help healthcare. And then we tell him how much the costs would rise, the health insurance would rise. You know, it's a huge amount. It's tremendous. The average American could see a rise of $900 a month in their healthcare premiums. If you are a 55.
And this is from Schumer's appearance on just the other night on Midas Touch here with Ben Marcellus here. Here we go.
The costs would rise, the health insurance would rise. You know, it's a huge amount. It's tremendous. The average American could see a rise of $900 a month in their healthcare premiums. If you are a 55-year-old couple making $80,000, you know how much you're going to have to pay for healthcare insurance? $25,000. How does the average American family, when they sit around the kitchen table Friday night and figuring out how to pay the bills, how the hell do they pay for that?
So put a 1 in the chat if you can afford to pay $25,000 more a year for your healthcare. Put a 1 in the chat if you can afford that. If you're happy to pay that, put a 1 in the chat. Because if you're not happy to pay that, then you're going to want this shutdown to remain until the Republicans negotiate. It's very simple. That's how much the average American. That's not the worst. That's not the worst case scenario. So you just put a 1 in the chat if you okay with healthcare, your healthcare being $25,000 more a year for every individual. No problem. It's up to you. It's your life. It's your vote. But I don't even understand how healthcare could increase 1 cent when you already pay more for healthcare in the United States of America than anywhere else on earth. But it doesn't matter if it's 25 or if it's 10 or if it's 1%, God damn it. You already pay more than any other place on earth. Why should it go up more when you got a president who just went in there and gave tax deductions, the biggest tax deductions in the history of the country to the nation's wealthiest small group? So yeah, that don't make no damn sense. So you're giving tax breaks to the wealthiest people in the country, and now you're asking people to pay more for their health care? The average person? I guess that makes sense to some people.
Well, we told Trump that. He said, ooh, that would be bad. And then he goes on and says, let's get rid of ACA. He had no He had no understanding. He doesn't connect the dots. He just says whatever pops into his brain.
There you have it. And this is where it's at. It's in a shutdown until somebody want to do something about it. But I'm gonna tell you, I don't think the Democrats should just settle for health care, because the truth is that Trump don't want to have another election. Trump doesn't care about the law. Trump probably got plans to blow up some judges. He could have a hit list. You never know. Trump doesn't give a shit. Trump is going out. Trump's going to die. So there's nothing Trump does that he's going to take responsibility for, because he's an old fucking man. He's 78 years old. He's about to die. He's going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell in any amount of days now, probably 5 days from now. He's probably going to pardon her, because if he doesn't, she is going to out him. And Trump has already been outed by so many people, so he's going to pardon her. And of course, there's something else that she knows, not just only about the pedophilia, So Trump is out. J.D. Vance, the wealthy people that are in his cabinet, Lutnick and all of this shit, Elon Musk, they're tired of fucking Trump, but they're just waiting for his ass to die, to get too old. And then he's going to try to pass the baton to J.D. Vance, and they're going to continue to try to talk the bullshit and rob the American people, probably get another tax break, anything like that. But in any case, they know they're not going for an election. They're going to try to do anything to stop an election. I mean, because that's what people who are greedy do. And J.D. Vance saw Trump could do it, so he's going to do the same thing. So let's continue.
And you're talking about the price of healthcare and immigrants. The heart of the disagreement seems to be that Republicans do not think that illegal immigrants should have access to taxpayer-funded health insurance.
And they don't.
So the Democratic position, your official position here, is that illegal immigrants should not have any access to taxpayer-funded health insurance. Does that include federal and state?
Well, the federal law is that undocumented individuals do not have access to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, even the Affordable Care Act. That's the law. So this is a red herring from my Republican colleagues. They don't want to, help folks out because they needed that money. And this should be pretty simple for people to understand. When they gave that extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which helped out the richest Americans, it was partially paid for by taking away Medicaid and taking away these ACA tax credits for people who just can't afford.
And you're talking about the price of healthcare and immigrants. The heart of the disagreement seems to be that Republicans do not think.
So everybody has heard this argument. This is this is international news. This is what channel is this actually? This is I forget, this new network. They're a little weird, but in any case, I forget the network. But this is, everyone knows this. This is what the official argument is. The official argument is that they think that there's some illegal immigrants getting access to health care because of the Democrats. Well, a lot of people that think things is that simple, that's the problem. Americans don't know how their own system works. They're confusing emergency care with just broad ass health care. They're confusing the two. So what they're saying is that on the state level, how doctors operate in the emergency room, when an ambulance goes out, when there's an emergency, it's very simple. Before the American Health Care Act, a lot of people were being refused. American citizens were being refused because they didn't have health care. So the ambulance wouldn't pick them up and take them to the hospital, and they were dying. So that was changed. So they made sure that, no, doctors, you're accepting people in the emergency room for emergency care, right? Everybody, right? Even because, believe it or not, even in even people that have Medicaid, just because Medicaid, Medicare, and the American Affordable Health Care Act, all that exists, there's loads of people, American citizens, that still don't have health care, that can't even afford that. You see, this is America. This is the United States. And so They're conceding what they're talking about is not even the American Health Care Act. They're not even talking about that. They're talking about something they don't want. They rather frame it as illegal immigrants because they don't want to tell you they're talking about emergency care. See, that's what American citizens should demand MAGA Mike Johnson say out of his mouth. MAGA Mike Johnson, you're talking about emergency care. What do you want them to do? Do you want them to ask everyone in an emergency that gets run over by a car, that gets shot on the street for their fucking ID before they get an ambulance, before they get in the emergency room? How many seconds is the difference between whether you live or die? That's the question. And they're playing with your fucking life. This dude is insulting. He will come on there and preach, take 30 minutes of people's fucking time after he gets paid, even in a shutdown. He takes Congress out of session and sends all those paid essential congressional members who get paid, essential workers who get paid. He tells them, hey, you ain't even got to go to work right now, y'all. You could go home on the American taxpayer's dime. And then he's arguing that you can't, you might be confused. You might get kicked out from an ambulance because you just don't happen to have your fucking ID to prove you're an American citizen. Like, this is bullshit. Like, yo, Americans, you supposed to be smacking his ass the fuck up. You supposed to be I'm just saying it, really. This is what you would do if a normal person came to you trying to hustle you like this, or hustle your family like this. Like, you got time in your busy schedule to be hustled? Okay.
That illegal immigrants should have access to taxpayer-funded health insurance.
And they don't.
How do you know if someone is illegal in the emergency room? How do you know someone is illegal when they get shot on the street and the ambulance comes? How are you supposed to figure out the difference? That's the problem. That's the problem right there. You can't figure out every situation that way and expect people to fucking live. That's the last thing an ambulance and an emergency room doctor is supposed to be fucking trying to find out. That's the whole point. You see, and these guys are up there, they're so stupid, they're willing to give up their emergency room rights for the poor, for people that don't have access to health care, even though they're American citizens, because that's what's going to happen. Even an American citizen who has health care, what if somebody comes up to you and shoots you and takes your fucking purse and runs off with it? How are you going to get in the fucking emergency room? You're going to tell them? What if you can't talk? What if you're unconscious from the car accident? What if you're unconscious from the event that just happened to you? I mean, you got to use your brain. Don't let them just hold something up in your head. Illegal aliens. Are you just like, you know what? Fuck that, y'all. I can sacrifice some of my emergency room care in certain situations if it means that they're going to make sure no illegals get in there too. Or y'all some dumbass motherfuckers.
So
if you go for that,
the Democratic position, your official position here is that illegal immigrants should not have any access to taxpayer-funded health insurance. Does that include federal and state?
Well, the federal law is that undocumented individuals do not have access to Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, even the Affordable Care Act. That's the law. So this is a red herring from my Republican colleagues. They don't want to, help folks out because they needed that money. And this should be pretty simple for people to understand. When they gave that extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which helped out the richest Americans, it was partially paid for by taking away Medicaid and taking away these ACA tax credits for people who just can't afford.
And you're talking about...
And, again, I could understand an enemy of the United States be okay with that. I could understand that. But in any case, so we got Trump He's got MAGA Mike out there, trying to beg and plead the Democrats to, oh, please come on back, Democrats, please. I care about the poor and the middle class now. My name is MAGA. I care about the poor and the middle class Johnson. That's what I'm known for, caring about the poor and the middle class Americans. And I'm just so concerned about the poor and the middle class Americans today. But the Democrats, they just don't want to do right by the people. That's his argument in a nutshell. But while he's doing that, the guy that he's capping for, is doing this.
Breaking news this morning, the Supreme Court rejecting a bid to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. Maxwell argues she was unjustly prosecuted for her role helping Jeffrey Epstein recruit and groom girls as young as 14. In 2022, she was sentenced to 20 years behind.
Its term today, Mr. President.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to...
Okay. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you think he looks and sounds like an honest person that you would trust and believe. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he looks like an honest person and sounds like an honest person that you would believe when he says this. And if you think he's a lying MFer, put a 2 in the chat or just put MFer. Okay? And let's examine his face. Let's examine his voice. Oh, he was really like taken off guard. He was like, I never heard of that name before. Who's Ghislaine Maxwell? Who's she? I haven't heard that name in a while. I'm totally shocked. What's going on here? I know nothing about that at all.
Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long.
Conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, so he got no idea, huh? He got no idea who we talking about. The lady just told him, he acts like he hasn't been doing that. The Supreme Court, buddy. You're the president and you don't follow the fucking Supreme Court. You don't read the newspapers. This guy is, and again, MAGA people love being lied to. And again, just a regular person. If a regular person lied to you like that, what would you do? I might smack the hell out you. I'm just telling you, don't insult my intelligence. Don't waste my fucking time. What are you doing, Trump? But he lies like a person that should be slapped. But look, a lot of MAGA people are so used to being talked down to, they don't even know when somebody's talking down to them. Look at this. This is crazy. He just lied through his goddamn teeth. He don't know nothing about nothing.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I'll speak to... I will.
Okay. So put a 1 in the chat if you think Trump should pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Put a 2 in the chat if the answer is hell no. And I'm just going to watch. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Trump should pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Put a 1 in the chat. If you think hell fucking no, put a 2 in the chat. I just want to see how twisted these MAGA people are, because some of them, let's give them a chance. Let's see where they are. All hits, 1 or 2, please. 1 or 2. Only 1 or 2 counts right now. Yeah, you see? You see that? You have a person who's must be a troll. Goddamn. You have to ask people questions to find out if you're dealing with people really invested, Yeah, well, damn. Okay. A lot of people are like hell to the effing no. And I'm also like, god damn. I mean, yo, excuse me. I just had to ask the basic question. Don't take it as an insult. But you see some of these people, you just have to ask to find out, because there was once one person put a 1 in the chat. That's like, damn, how'd you put a 1 in the chat? Look, hold on, Chris Friday. Everybody look at Chris Friday's statement. He said, I will look at it. That doesn't mean he will pardon her or you. Oh, really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that, huh? Oh, thanks for sharing that with me, Chris Friday. I didn't know that's what that doesn't mean in the English language. But when it's coming from him, an associate of Ghislaine Maxwell, duh, dumbass. You forgot that part? What the hell? He acts like just anybody. You know, you could say that. It doesn't mean it. You could say, I'm not talking about you or me saying, I'm talking about Donald Trump. Okay. When Donald Trump says that, that's a leeway up into I'm going to pardon her. That's what that means.
I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. What does that mean? What does I would consider it or not consider it? I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. Yeah, that's what he said. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. How the fuck can you have it both ways? Isn't that an indication of lying? Like, I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean? Who uses grammar like that? Put a 1 in the chat if you use grammar like this. If you understand what the fuck Trump means. If you don't understand what the hell Trump means, put a 2 in the chat. I never heard that one before. Let's hear it again.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. But I'll speak. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. But I'll speak. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. But I'll speak. I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who've asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy.
It's a lot of people asking him for pardons. But then again, he hasn't heard about that name, Ghislaine Maxwell, in a while, because it's not like he's following that. I mean, because Trump tells the truth, right? Because Trump tells the truth. Because Trump is a truth teller. What everyone knows about Trump, if you don't know anything at all, the one thing everybody knows about Trump is he tells the truth. So when he says, oh, he hasn't heard that name in a while. What's this about? What? Oh, did they? Oh, okay. Well, I would not consider it or consider it. What the hell?
The Supreme Court is back, and they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her.
For those people that don't know, Donald Trump, because I can see some people in the chat don't know, so let me do it back up. For those that don't know, Donald Trump was the best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the United States' most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker. He was Donald Trump's best friend for 15 years. There have been people that have accused Trump in depositions of molesting them when they were 13 years old. Yes, Trump has been on Epstein's plane more than almost anybody else. He's rumored to have been mentioned in the Epstein files more than 300 times. La 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 la. Now let me just go back a little bit, because damn, I see like some people just forget all that. You know, it doesn't mean if he says some double talk like I wouldn't and I also wouldn't I wouldn't not consider it and I would consider it. They act like they haven't heard any of this before. This is what makes me so funny. Like it makes me wonder.
Came to this interview on my free will, on my own free will.
Okay. Was anything promised to you if you do this interview?
There was nothing promised to me for doing this interview, no.
Hang on, guys. Yeah. We need quiet. Yeah. One more time, please.
No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent. Everything that you will tell us during this interview, is it the truth?
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's start with, how did you meet Donald Trump?
I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There was about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump.
And how old were you when you met him?
I was 13.
13.
Mm-hmm.
And how did the initial meeting, how did that work?
Whew. The first time that I met Donald Trump was...
Guys, seriously.
Okay, you can hear that?
We need absolute quiet.
Okay, sorry.
And the first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first party, and I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And
Right. So, when you ask somebody like Donald Trump, have you heard about Ghislaine Maxwell, the woman who actually he fired the person who prosecuted her and sent her ass to jail? When they're asking that question, that's the Donald Trump they're asking about. So let's continue.
Today, Mr. President,
Say it.
the Supreme Court is back and
Yeah.
they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it.
So he wouldn't consider it or not consider it. By the way, it's the co-conspirator to the most prolific sex trafficker in the U.S. history, trafficker of little girls, Ghislaine Maxwell. He's talking about pardoning. Regardless of what you think, he's talking right now about pardoning her instead of just saying, no pardon. Very simple. See, he didn't stand on his square by saying, no, I'm not pardoning the co-conspirator to the most prolific sex trafficker in the United States history. He was like, yeah, I know Ghislaine, and damn, like, please, I really hope she doesn't snitch on me. I've been kind to her. I fired the prosecutor that prosecuted her and sent her to jail. So it's obvious Trump is going to pardon her. And, if he doesn't, oops, sorry, my bad. I don't know everything now. I could be wrong. I have to say that. I could be wrong. But my instinct is that he's going to pardon her. And that's been my instinct the entire time. My instinct is, and I've been saying that, those of you that's been following me I've only been here doing these lives for a little bit of time. But those of you that have been following me, you've probably heard me say this before. I actually predicted that Trump was going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell before the end of the year, before Christmas, way before Christmas, because this is killing the people behind Trump. This Epstein thing is killing them. Really, if the money and if the corruption isn't killing them, this is killing them. You see. And that's how weird Americans are, because you would think the corruption would be bad enough. But for a lot of Americans, they don't give a shit if Peter Thiel and Elon Musk own everything. And even though they have 3 citizenships each to other countries, they could, they can buy up everything, bag all the resources, own all the media outlets, all that shit. A lot of Americans don't mind that, as long as they tell them something like, go get the immigrants, they don't mind it, But when it comes to the Epstein shit, that's something most people can't ignore, and it's killing them, because not only that, you find out that Peter Thiel was dealing with Epstein now because Trump just couldn't swallow take the hit and be gone, let the Epstein shit disappear. No, Trump got to be the king. So as long as Trump hung around, since he was the best friend of Epstein, the whole idea, the whole story, the whole no matter what, they just couldn't escape it. People became more attracted. They ran on the whole premise of releasing the Epstein file. Then when they got in office, they pulled a U-turn and say, we're not going to release the files. It's just a hoax. I mean, so this is really what killed Peter Thiel, is killing Elon Musk, because they are connected to a pedophile somehow, some way. The only question is how. So they're tired of Trump. They see the American people are tired of Trump. But Trump is getting old, and he's gone. Howard Lutnick, threw him under the bus. And when Howard Lutnick goes out there and throws Trump under the bus, that is not a coincidence. That's not just a happening that just, something that just went on from one day to the next, like some freestyle or some shit like that. Howard Lutnick did not freestyle that with the New York Post.
Building this administration,
that was something discussed in advance with many people. And here is what the result of that is. This is just a week ago. Howard Lutnick did this.
Was his neighbor. Take a listen.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. That's what his MO was, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money.
Oh, man. Unsettled.
So is Howard Lutnick lying? Because this is one of Trump's cabinet people. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Howard Lutnick is lying. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he is not lying, that he's telling the truth. 1 for Howard is lying. 2 for he is telling the truth. Again, this is a Trump cabinet member, right? This and this is I'm just letting you know. Trump has days. Trump has days before he's out of office. It's not months, it's days. You see, and and this is part of it. What Howard Lutnick said, the fact that his cabinet member would throw him under the bus this way. Let's pull it back and take a little peep at it once again, just so people are clear about what the man just said, which is wow, but it matches up with everything everyone else has said. So Trump said it was a hoax, a Democrat hoax, a liberal hoax. Trump said it was the Democrats, it was Obama, it was Kamala, it was Biden, it's all a scam. And then Howard Lutnick comes out and says, hey, no, this shit wasn't a scam. He asked me, did I want a massage? Look, listen.
Criminal, who at one point was his neighbor. Take a listen.
I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me. Ooh. And he says, and the right kind of massage. That's what his MO was, get a massage, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money.
Oh, man.
So Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, they know that American citizens are the most armed citizenry in the world. The United States citizens have more weapons than any other citizenry on earth. It is the most armed citizenry on earth, the United States people. Russian people aren't really even allowed to have guns like that. It's that repressed. China is the same thing. The United States is not like that, and it's in our Constitution. And if you know anything about Americans, Americans have always held their guns close and always cited the Constitution. So guns have been heavily proliferated across the U.S. And Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, they know that. They know that, and they know American people are pissed. And Howard Lutnick knows that because he has a brain, so he's the first to go out there to say, hey, I want a future. I see the end of the road coming soon, and I don't want to be on that train when it crashes into that wall. I don't want to be on that boat when it's in. Yeah, literally. He's just letting you know. And there's other ones that feel that way too. So you ain't going to get a chance to impeach Trump. Trump's not going to be in office long enough to impeach him. And yeah, that's my view of it. Now let's hear the commentary and move on to the next topic.
Unsettling. Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas. She's still here with us. Congresswoman, what are the next steps after you hear all of these details? Are lawmakers going to get Lutnick right in front of them?
Absolutely, I hope so. You know, and frankly, I wouldn't even want to bring him before the full committee. We get 5 minutes, and typically people take those 5 minutes to kind of put on their show. I actually would want a transcribed interview or deposition, which we have done a number of those. Recently, we did a transcribed interview of Alex Acosta, and we would really need to dig in. I mean, this is someone who...
Yeah, it doesn't take self-explaining. It doesn't take a lot of explaining. You know, Howard Lutnick is a cabinet member, right? At least he's been in all these meetings with Trump. You know, when they order him to come, he would have to come pretty much, and unless he's sick or something like that. But it's obviously what the man said is already damaging enough because it goes completely against Trump's narrative. Trump wanted it to go away. Everyone wanted it to go away, but Trump didn't know how to say the things to make it go away. And it doesn't matter what Trump said because he's all up in the Epstein files. I mean, he's the man's best friend. Goddamn. You know what I'm saying? So it's impossible. So once they realized that this was going to take over, they're finished with Trump now. They're done with Trump. Trump is thinking for himself right now. But they're not going to fuck with Trump because he's still got the power of the presidency. But they're waiting for him to keel over. And this is basically going to do it. It's like, you know, they're ganging up on him. The Democrats are going to keep this shutdown until other Republican members are ready to throw Trump under the bus, too. That's what's going to happen here. Because Trump is a raging lunatic. He's using the military against the American people, and everybody fucking knows, including the military, that you ain't going to do that to the American people. You play around, you're going to find out sooner or later. It's coming. It's coming. Why? Because a lot of American military are definitely not liking what Trump is up to. They have to deal with it, but it doesn't mean they like it. In fact, a lot of them are totally against it. You see what I mean? And so the man is a lunatic, so he ain't going to be around too long. And, you know, the Congress is going to eat in more to him. You know, they're going to eat into others around him, even if Trump doesn't care about a shutdown. You know, this is the finale. You know, this is the main, you know, this is it. You're not coming out of a shutdown. Like, it's not going to be that fast. You know, this is a very real event for American citizens. Now, I just wanted to get back to what happened in Chicago. Oh, wait a second. Before Chicago, I'm sorry. There was a judge whose home just got exploded. Right, who caught on fire. Let me pull that up. I didn't pull that in here. Oh, that is so sad. And yeah. Her house was just on fire, just totally destroyed. And let me see, where is that at? Is it here? Screen, prison. Oh, I think it must be here. Is it here? No, wait a second. Is it this one? Yeah, and is it in South Carolina? Tell me where the home was, y'all, if you remember. Let me see. Is it this one? Maybe it's this one. Right here. Can I find that file? It was a judge. Okay, hold on. Let me go back. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. A judge's home just was set on fire. And this was in the less than 48 hours. I wanted to comment on it yesterday, but I didn't have enough time. And for some reason, I don't see the file. Yo, I'm sorry about that. I don't see the file right here. And yeah, it was South Carolina, Carpe Diem. Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, Kel, thank you for that. I need to look at the chat more. By the way, click like, everybody. Please click like, subscribe if you haven't clicked subscribe. But do me that favor. But let me read some of the chat. By the way, let me read the chat since I don't have that file with me, because she ruled against Trump in court. Yeah, that's what's been going around. And let me see here. Does anybody remember Mike Dukakis in the 1980s going for president against Bush senior Democrat Massachusetts governor? I remember him. I don't remember his father, my friend's father. Oh, really? Okay. Okay, let me see. Let me go back a little bit. Let me see something here. Coincidence? Yeah. Do you all think it's a coincidence? Do y'all think that is a coincidence? This judge's home catching on fire. Do you all think it was sabotage, for example? Yeah. Do you think it's sabotage? Do you think it was purposely set on fire, or do you think it's just coincidence? I'm inclined to believe first that it's sabotage. And let everybody else, the police and the authorities, figure out the rest, or whoever else, because I'm sure they got private investigators on it also. Yeah. This is it's a trying. That's what I mean. When you have judges' homes burning up. By the way, two people got representatives in Minnesota got shot, right? Got attacked, killed, by the way, right? Wasn't it two of them killed? I mean, when you have this type of environment, it doesn't help. I don't think it is a, how can I say this? When you have all these bad elements at one time, it's not a good argument for open up release the money, let things go back to normal, give Trump all his powers. What I read about the proposal that let me see here, that they had in the Congress. Let me see. The proposal, actually, they got a proposal in it. Oh, yeah. I'm glad I came across this part. I forgot about this. They did put something together yesterday, 24 hours ago. The Republicans don't want to discuss it. They don't want to discuss it. Jeffries also asked MAGA Mike Johnson to have a debate about it, to talk about it, and on TV, right, in the public. And MAGA Mike Johnson sent back his refusal. What the Democrats plan is they have things about the health care, bringing back some of those cuts, reversing some of those cuts that were made in the big, beautiful, ugly bill. But it's not just that. Some of it in there is limiting the power on the president, for sure, y'all. I forgot to say that. And I'm sorry, I've been a little busy. I was late today, so I was a little busy. I did prepare the information, but I can see a few things I didn't get all the way in my phone, right? I don't know why that happened, but I have been checking out a lot of news, and you could trust my word on this because I did see this. It came out of Schumer's mouth. They have been working on something, because they work on bills together. Schumer, although he's a senator, he still works on, they work across the board, they're all lawyers, right? Now, yeah, there's something in that bill about limiting the power of Trump, straight up. And I advise anybody to Google that, right? I'm not sure if it's public, what they did put together, but they have talked about it on the House's page. I believe they have some points in there, right, that they have made public. So that is something of interest to people that you should know about. I personally, I like how the Democrats are doing things because they're very, how can I say this, restrained, and calculated. Democrats, the way they move, they don't project, they're very, very organized. So they know how to talk publicly without giving up their whole game. But when I heard this thing from Schumer yesterday, that's when I first got a glimpse and understood that, oh, okay, they're going for more than just health care. That's the truth, y'all. They are going for way more than just health care in that proposal. So be prepared for the shutdown to last a little bit of time. And I also think this is about Trump's last 30 days. I don't think Trump is lasting after this 30 days. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I got to give me my credit on that. Now, I'm going to be out. I'm going to catch up with y'all in what is it, in 24, less than 24 hours from now, right? But listen, just to sum it up for some of the listeners, right? I'm an American citizen, born and raised in Washington, D.C. My family on both sides comes from the colonial period of the United States of America. But as an adult man with children and a family, I live outside of the United States of America. And the place that I live is the place called Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark. And this is a country of some very proud people, too. And if you know anything about Danish history or know anything about the Danes, you know, they used to control half of Europe pretty much, right? A lot of the Scandinavian, they used to control half of England, you know, this kind of stuff. So they have an old history, Denmark. But Denmark has universal health care and universal education, meaning that you get a stipend to go to school here. If you go to school, it's for free. It doesn't matter what kind of school. You go to technical school, you go to university, you go to any of it, it's all free. It's up to you, the individual. It's not up to your parents. It's up to you. Nothing's holding you back here. If you need to go to the hospital, that is all paid for in the taxes, right? And people need to understand that when they talk about high taxes, you need to understand this. They're playing with your mind in the United States. What you need to understand is the average European takes home, after paying their taxes and paying all their expenses, the average European takes home $1,000 more in their pocket. They keep $1,000 more in their pocket than the average American after paying their taxes and all their expenses. And that's what you need to think about as Americans. Like, trust me, don't fall for the hype. Collective bargaining is not socialism. So don't let them talk down to you like you're ignorant. Collective bargaining exists. Okay. That's how MAGA Mike Johnson gets his paycheck, through collective bargaining. Everybody pays into MAGA Mike Johnson to have a salary so he could go talk shit. Okay, so that's all collective bargaining is. And I pay for the congressional members I don't like also. Did you know that? That's because it's collective bargaining. And you maggots, you also do collective bargaining because you pay for Schumer's. You know, you some of your check every hour you work goes to Schumer's check, his paycheck, his lifestyle. You know, so that's what collective bargaining is. So don't get it twisted. But in any case, I'm out, y'all. Sorry about coming in a little late. To the trolls, thank you again. But to the people that get the message, the enlightened folk, the people that are really in for this struggle, yo, big up to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Big up to yourself. And because you are fighting this fight. I'm outside of the country. I'm not. You see what I mean? So I'm going to give you that much respect. And saying that, thank you for fighting for me. Those people in the U.S. fighting the fight, in the courts, on the streets, anywhere, on the internet, anywhere, spreading the information. Thank you as a fellow American. Thank you for also fighting for my rights. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Trust me. I appreciate you so much. And believe one thing, if I was there with you, I would be in the fight side by side with you. This is the most important moment in our history since the civil rights era. This is a moment that's not about black and white. This is about saving our goddamn country from people who think they can be slave masters of everybody. And you MAGA people better get it together. They want to be your slave master too. So you better get it straight before it's too late, you know. On that note, I'm out. I'm going to catch up with y'all in a little bit. I appreciate everybody. Y'all be good, okay? Find somebody to love and respect. One.
They want more. Crime baby streets looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental.
Jay Mosky, that's right. Release the Epstein files. See ya.
Diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest